I won't say I was terminally affected, but I feel like there were termination points because of the fire. And I was affected in my understanding that illusions would discontinue. And that's positive and it's negative. I was affected by the trauma that most of the relationships I had with my friends. There was a trauma because of the event. But when your friends are under great stress and when your friends have to make huge identity leaps because everything they own disappears, then you have to go through that trauma with them. And I'm not sometimes very good at dealing with other people's issues because I'm just like, the real deal here, the real deal there. And even if somebody's not ready to deal with it, I can't be anything but way real. And so I was affected because I'm a little bit too intense for certain situations, and so it just made it worse.
Okay. Who else was affected by the fire in the house?
Of course, everybody who put their heart into that space and put their familial bonding into that community, they're greatly, greatly affected. And I don't think some of them even know how much they're affected because they've had to make decisions on the spur of the moment and make commitments to either live in a different space or think differently about the truth when they weren't really having to deal with the truth. But I think that the neighbors were strongly affected and are affected every day they walk out and face the destruction firsthand. I think that the entire neighborhood was dealt a blow of maybe things aren't going to become progressive as we thought. It's like progress seemed to end in some people's minds when the Lava House was not a resource there. They couldn't see the freak show riding by, and they couldn't go over and borrow some tools or get their car worked on. And I think that resource still exists to a certain degree, but it's a closed community now, and it used to be very open. And so everyone who knew about the lava was affected. People in my workplace, all these kids at my workplace who knew what the Lava House was, and they opened their heart to me because then they understood who I was. At work, I have to be a certain person, which is not my own character. I'm a professional there to help them. But once they knew who my casual person was or my creative person was, then I was actually affected in a positive way by people understanding that that was my life commitment. So, everybody, sure.
That's good. Where have you been? You've been keeping your work in the basement.
I put all of my burned up residue in the basement, and I have when everything disappeared, I immediately sat down for about 2 weeks with a journal and redrew everything that completely disappeared. So I'd have some documentation. I reviewed all my digitals to see if anything had not been documented. So now I'm doing a lot of work online. My MySpace pages show the work that burned up. It also shows the photographs I've taken that I was inspired from the wreckage site, I guess. From the blast. I was already planning to do several murals, like I said, and I've always worked at the Brick House. So my work has never been at the Lava House completely. I feel like I'm a citywide worker, and a lot of times I would go in the Lava House and do my larva. I would call it the Larva House because I'd go work on the beginnings of baby projects, and then they would turn into the mural, or they would turn into a sculpture that was found somewhere else. So I just keep working wherever I do my work anyhow.
Okay. So, what are your plans now?
Keep doing the murals. I've started back with my performance art and the poetry and spoken word and poetry performance, which I had nearly completely cut off. I had considered going back to choreography, and I still might, because I've always been into dance and choreography heavily, but as public performance, I kind of quit performing when I had a large amount of space to do the textiles, to do the to do the paintings. I wanted to just give myself to what I could do at that time, because you just don't have a big space like that to work in very often. And so moving forward, I'll go back into performance art, textiles on a smaller scale, mural art. I've always been a photographer, writer, so things don't stop me. They just kind of alter my path a little. So whatever I need to do. Right?
Do you have any final thoughts about the Lava House or the people or anything?
Well, I've seen a lot of people be ugly over the years, and I've seen a lot of people grow up through the Lava House over the years, and I want to say more power to everybody, but not more power to deconstruct growth, more power to be creative, more power to find the self, and to more power to create more respect on the earth, environmentally as well as creatively, because I think that my final thoughts are some of that shit had to change, and it was okay for it to change. And I really was most hurt for the Hurry family, because I love that family and I can't really explain why I relate to them so well, because we really don't have much in common. I just felt like they represented the people who dared, the people who tried to make a difference. And so my thoughts are, that's the spirit that they had, and I don't want that to discontinue. But I also don't want to put myself in the middle of these, exotropic realities that are getting denser, or they're like loosening up, and get myself ground up in the middle of other people's wheels of progress. So I wish people the best, but I'm not trying to be a part of any confusing or ambiguous sort of processes that don't make the world a better place. I mean, I've always had that fight on, no matter where it was. And then, so with my final thoughts on the Lava House, I'm like, I would want to put together a compendium where all of us bring the